What's up, guys? Welcome back to a new video here. So I got a wild one for you today. Basically, Donald Trump has abandoned Ukraine. There's no question about that. I'm going to show you the exact clip of what the hell he said today in his press conference, which was truly stunning. I mean, the entire geopolitical world is in shock right now. This is a complete pivot of almost 80 years of foreign policy. It is a stunning turn of events, and it's a massive change for the world, okay? And before we go any further, make sure to like and subscribe. It's super good for the algorithm. And if you want to support the channel, my Patreon link is in the description. So I'm going to give you all the developments that have been happening today, which is truly insane. The first major clip, let me just show you of Donald Trump blaming Ukraine for the war. Not Putin at all, not for him invading, but blaming Ukraine for starting the Russian invasion. I'm not even joking. Here's the video and we'll discuss it after.
But today I heard, oh, well, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine that would have given them almost all of the land, everything, almost all of the land, and no people would have been killed, and no city would have been demolished, and not one dome would have been knocked down. But they chose not to do it that way. And President Biden, in all fairness, he doesn't have a clue. What he was so bad for.
Okay, guys, so that's pretty amazing. Basically saying you should not have started it. Talking about Ukraine, not Russia. Notice how he does not mention Russia at all. And his entire press conferences today, he didn't mention anything at all about Russia. And basically saying, he even said that, hey, Russia lost a ton of soldiers fighting for that land. They should keep it. Basically excusing war crimes of an illegal invasion of a foreign country, saying, basically putting all the onus on Ukraine, not Russia. I mean, truly insane. I mean, again, I'm not going to say it's true, but again, there has been speculation for years that Putin has something on Trump. Whether that's true or not, who the hell knows? But the fact that he's still saying this is wild, guys. This is insane. And he specifically said during his campaign he was not going to abandon Ukraine. That has clearly turned out not to be true because this is totally wild. And there's been a number of major developments on this front. So this is everything that's happened today. So Trump's team has offered Putin number one Ukrainian territory. Like I just said, he's offered that, hey, they lost their soldiers there. They should be able to keep that land. Completely insane. The European world is in complete shock. No NATO membership for Ukraine, which again, why would Ukraine agree to a peace deal if their protection isn't even guaranteed and Russia can just walk in there in a few months' time? It's insane. And guys, by the way, for anyone who argues that Ukraine actually started this war, it's insane. If you listen to Putin's speech that night of the invasion, he was talking about how the greatest geopolitical strategy of the 21st century was the fall of the Soviet Union and how it should be restored. He said this in his speech. The idea that he doesn't want the Baltic states is preposterous. And God forbid the United States withdraws from NATO. You can almost guarantee that's going to happen. And the Europeans are being put in a terrible spot here because they actually might be forced to deploy troops to Ukraine because it's pretty clear the Americans are not on their sides anymore. That's painfully obvious. No U.S. soldiers in Ukraine now that that's a surprise. And 4, the withdrawal of U.S. soldiers from Europe, including the frontline states. And 5, sanctions relief on Russia. So basically excusing everything. And meanwhile, the Russians, they have to give up nothing. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable coming from the United States. Talk about the art of the deal. I mean, he's getting absolutely destroyed in these negotiations, it seems like, and he's attacking Vladimir Zelensky in Ukraine. And this is just unbelievable. And you have these fools in the Trump administration basically saying everything's fine. We're negotiating with them. Listen to this, guys. According to Russian state media service, first of all, there was major attacks on Odessa today by the Russians right after they left Saudi Arabia, meeting with the Americans, which is just, I mean, it's like they're mocking them almost. During yesterday's summit in Saudi Arabia, U.S. Secretary of State Rubio attempted to get Russian delegation to sign a memorandum to forbid strikes against Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Okay, so Rubio and Secretary of State, he wanted to get the Russians to not sign or to sign off on, okay, we're not going to strike any energy infrastructure. And Lavrov, the foreign minister, said, no, that's not necessary because we haven't done that the entire war. Well, guess what they did tonight, guys? Well, first of all, that's not true. They actually did do that many times throughout the war. But they targeted a power station in Odessa, massive strikes. Basically, a screw you, we can do whatever we want. I mean, it's literally being broadcasted to the public how they're treating this negotiation. This comes at the same time where U.S. intelligence is giving reports out, or they haven't. And again, I'm not saying everything you should believe from U.S. intelligence, but hey, they called it. They said that they were going to invade Ukraine, which is absolutely correct. Even though there's many skeptics, they're saying Putin doesn't want peace. I think it's pretty obvious. He wants to take all of Ukraine. He sees Trump, who looks to be very anti-Ukraine at this point, guys. If I'm Putin, I'm popping some champagne to the Kremlin, which I'm sure they're doing, by the way. So they're actually, it's just absolutely wild here. And then listen to this. We're hearing that Russia wants to force Ukraine as a condition for a peace deal. That's something the U.S. would support. Now, this is wild, complete disinformation, not true. It's a lie. Trump says we have a situation that where we haven't had elections in Ukraine, where we have martial law. Yeah, no shit, they have martial law. They're under occupation by another country. I mean, this is just so insane. The leader in Ukraine, I hate to say it, but he's down to 54% approval rating. That's a lie. That's just completely made up. It's not true. Look it up, guys. If you don't believe me, look it up. His poll numbers are around 50% right now. The idea it's at 4%, it's made up. It's not even true. I don't even know where he get the number from. To be honest with you, he probably got it from his Russian friends. I'm being serious. Like it's completely made up. It's a lie. And if the president of the United States saying this, it's just total bullshit. And again, like I said, massive strikes on Odessa today as they're doing peace negotiations, massive missile strikes. Again, the entire thing is completely wild. And then, I mean, it just keeps on going, guys. So listen to this. We have Donald Trump saying that they want basically reparations in return for what we did, basically how we've supplied Ukraine, the United States has supplied Ukraine. Trump wants reparations in the form of minerals and tons of money over the next several years. Okay, I mean, I think first of all, I mean, it makes the United States look like a mercenary state. It's not exactly why countries support other countries. I mean, that's literally not happened at all. Guess what? The tax on Ukraine would be more significant than the tax on not or on Germany following World War One, which ended up leading to World War II, by the way, because the sanctions that were placed on Germany were so extreme. So again, it's completely insane here. Where again, he's treating Ukraine like an enemy state. And by the way, yeah, Germany, there was reparations that the Germans had to pay, which was placed on them by their enemies, not their friends and allies who were supplying them the entire time. It is wild stuff that's going on right now. And of course, Zelensky is pissed. I mean, can you really blame him? I will have, and again, by the way, because he was originally supposed to travel to Saudi Arabia for other negotiations. Now, they postponed the trip because they were going to be there the same time as the Russians and Americans were. Now, let's be honest, knowing Trump, he would claim all the Ukrainians were here and trying to make it seem like the Ukrainians were involved. The Ukrainians wanted to say, no, we're not a part of this negotiation because, guys, this is what's so key here. The Americans are trying to end this war in very favorable Russian terms, while the Europeans are in shock over this. They can't even believe what's happening. And Zelensky is saying, no, this is insane because Trump isn't giving him anything. He's looking for insane reparations and he's looking to give the Russians everything they want. Something's going on here. This is very strange. So Zelensky's pissed. He says, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to travel to Saudi Arabia, which I think he should not have done. I mean, it's ridiculous to claim that he should. I mean, he's being excluded from the negotiations. And at least there's some Republicans who are like, okay, this is insane. The GOP Senator Roger Wicker actually said, no, Putin is a war criminal who should be in jail for the rest of his life, if not executed, which again, obviously very inflammatory, but it comes in stark contrast to the president of the United States who's saying he loves Putin and he's friends with him and he thinks he wants to end the war. Meanwhile, again, think how insane this is. He's attacking Zelensky more than he is Putin by like a lot. It's wild. It's wild. And again, this is a good Axios report here, basically going over what the hell has happened today, just to recap. So again, this could also increase tension between the Trump administration and Zelensky government. The talks were very good, Trump said, about the Russian officials. But again, you can't come to an agreement if the Ukrainians aren't involved. It makes absolutely no sense. In protest for the meeting, Zelensky decided to postpone, again, like I just said, the unrelated trip to Saudi Arabia. And again, another wild quote from Trump. They had a seat at the table for 3 years, the video we showed you. When they were worried about not being seated, they could have made a deal long ago, basically saying Zelensky could have avoided the invasion, but at the same time not saying anything about the Russian actions. Excusing war crimes. Again, like I said, this is a historic moment in geopolitical history. It is wild what's happening here. Again, the 4% approval rating, total BS, not true. It's a lie, disinformation or misinformation, whatever it is. And again, you shouldn't. The entire thing is just incredibly wild. And the Europeans are livid, guys. Okay, just to be clear, that's another key part of this story here. The Europeans are absolutely enraged over this. They're meeting and discussing they might have to deploy troops because they think, okay, obviously Putin is fiddling Trump here. We're going to make a deal and no NATO membership for Ukraine. They're just going to end up walking in anyway. All the intelligence points to Putin not wanting peace in the long term. He'll walk into Ukraine anyway and then into the Baltic states. And then guess what? You're right on the other European borders. That's why you have Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, and a number of other European leaders basically saying, we got to deploy troops here. Like, possibly. Or at the very least, we gotta do something different because the Americans have abandoned us. And there's no question Trump is not a fan of the Europeans. And frankly, people think it's crazy that Trump would withdraw from NATO. I don't think it's out of the question anymore. It seems as though he's more friendly to the Russians than the actual European allies that have been allies to the United States for years and years and years. It's dark times, guys. It is truly remarkable. That's what I got for you guys today. Let me know what you think, but truly remarkable here. Will this war end? Do you think there will actually be a ceasefire in place? Uh, what the hell is going on? Let me know what you think. I mean, this is insane to me, but that's what I got. Make sure to comment again. Make sure to like and subscribe too. Like I said, it's super good for the algorithm and it costs you absolutely nothing. And let me know if you guys agree or disagree. Again, like I said, I have a wide audience. I'm trying to bring everyone in and cause some debate because that's what we need in today's society, guys. So wild times we live in. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.